All right, excuse me. So the last portion of today's class is basically to talk about the 2014 releases and the updates. So I'm going to cover the 3ds Max SDK updates, and then Jong will take over and talk about Maya once he gets his computer fixed here. So what we're going to cover is just real quickly the platform porting issues. We'll look at the Nitrous SDK changes. Nitrous is the 3ds Max viewport updates. So we've made some significant enhancements there. Rendering, graphical menu, and some other miscellaneous changes. So first of all, the 2014 SDK is binary compatible with 2013. So if you have a plugin that works in 2013, you should be able to just directly place that in the 2014 release and it will work. So no rebuilding is necessary, no porting, but the main thing for you to do is test that plugin in 2014 to be sure. Some particular things that could have changed, even though we're binary compatible, is the feature behavior, especially around the gamma feature and the nitrous viewports. Platform changes for the 2014 release is that 3ds Max itself is only supporting Windows 7 and 8 now. So we've dropped support for Windows XP. Vista was dropped in the last release. And then we're also only supporting x64 now. The same build environment as 2013 is supported. So Visual Studio 2010 with Service Pack 1. I need to have at least .NET 4.0 Service Pack 1, and at a minimum the DirectX June 2010. The 2014 release does support through the Nitrous viewport the DirectX 11, so you can actually use the later DirectX if you want. The SDK structure has changed a little bit as well. So the directory structure has changed. So if you have a project in 2013 or before pointing to libraries and headers and that sort of thing, you'll need to update the project settings. We're now using some updated property sheets as well. So I would advise looking at the samples or even the plugin wizard results for 2014 and apply those same changes back to your older projects. And there's complete documentation on the build changes section of the help. So the Nitrous API, basically want to remind you that Nitrous was introduced in the 2012 release. It's been improved in the 2013 release. So these are the things that changed in 2013. Specifically, the Nitrous Object SDK was introduced in 2013. And then as we go into 2014, it's been enhanced even further. So the biggest change is in the object display code. If you have already ported to Update Display in 2013 or even 2012, then to get the best support, you want to upgrade to iObject Display 2 because you have much more functionality and control over the viewport. Okay? And this is very well documented in these sections of the SDK help. Some things that we've added are low-level APIs. So these match the DirectX 11 very closely, so you can get some advanced support there. We also have the mid-level APIs, which basically are some new interfaces. The iRender geometry is the root of this that gives you some additional capabilities. The gamma changes, so this is a feature that was enhanced in 3ds Max itself. So when you're using 2014, there's now only two options. It's automatic and override. So basically this system default gamma is no longer used. So the data is still maintained in the Max file just for legacy purposes, but in the 2014 version it maps to the override behavior. 2D canvas changes. So basically, you shouldn't have to worry about any of these changes. We've updated the performance of the 2D canvas. So the main thing is if you see behavioral changes in your existing plugin, you want to go and look at the graphics window APIs and make sure you're using those according to the documentation. 3ds Max 2014 introduced this new graphical menu option as well. So you shouldn't have to make any changes to your SDK plugin, but you should test it and make sure it works properly. So basically when you, let's just go to the next screen. So in the old system, for example, if you had a menu, it would look something like that. There was no change to the viewport quad menus. So in the new system, if you turn on the graphical menu, you're going to now see a much more robust menuing system. Okay? And this is not the default state, but your plugin, as soon as it switches to the enhanced menuing system, it's going to start taking on this new look. Okay? So just be aware that if your users are using the enhanced menuing system, you may need to check it and test it. Some other miscellaneous changes. So there's been some new menu APIs added to support that new graphical menu system. The particle flow system. So this feature was originally a subscription advantage pack feature. It's called the Box 2.3 particle flow system. That's now been completely integrated into 3ds Max, and so you can use the new APIs to access that functionality. Matrix 3 has been improved, and there's a new set of notifications that are part of the notification system and also the reference message system. So the takeaway here, the key things is to remember that it is binary compatible with 2013, so you shouldn't have to rebuild, but you should test. Okay, that's the most important thing, is to make sure it still works. And there's a really good section in the documentation that encapsulates all of these changes and would make it very clear as to what you might need to look at. All right, so we'll switch over to Maya now.